Kiss, San Francisco, California, goodbye. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, buckle up, strap in. We got a hard-hitting, pull no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows or sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpackage today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. Let's jump back on the real estate merry-go-round and examine the good, the bad, and maybe a little bit of the ugly.
No, Scott, not the ugly. Only examine rainbows and sunshine and unicorns.
No. Somebody's got to read between the lines and look between the cracks, and we've got some cracks to look through today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. So San Francisco is up to bat, and we've got some big glaring issues we're going to jump over here in a moment and take a look at a listing to drive our point home. And it's nothing short of shocking to me. Listen, I always say it, or at least I say it a lot. And if you're new, welcome. I'm really glad you're here with me. I love real estate. I work in real estate. I'm a licensed real estate agent. I own real estate. I've just seen this movie before. And even as a licensed real estate agent for one of the biggest brokerages on planet Earth, I had to call real estate bubble when I saw this thing being manufactured back during the crisis. Not for the crisis. We are not talking today, my friends. This was artificial growth, no organic growth, market manipulation. That is unadulterated, pure market manipulation. There is no other way to slice this one or sugarcoat it, my friends. And as an agent holding open houses, attending open houses, watching bidding wars take place, being all of a sudden thrusted into the spotlight, so to speak, here, as a real estate professional, seeing all the new agents pile in, as it always, anytime the markets get euphoric, of course, a lot of people piled in, but they didn't only pile into real estate, they piled into crypto stocks. A lot of armchair investors came in and invested in this thing, and it was working there for a hot minute, but unfortunately, the game of musical chairs has stopped, the music stopped playing, and now the economy is stuck without a chair. That, well, other than the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, but he's about to lose his position as well. I anticipate our current administration will do its best to keep this thing from crashing on their watch. I'm really more concerned about when the next administration gets ushered in. They'll probably undo everything that the current one did, and then it's probably going to be game over. I think there's only one thing that's going to change, and that's everything. I think everything is going to change. History tends to rhyme. It doesn't always repeat. But this one is a really big one for sure. But one of the things that gets me reporting on here on YouTube mainly is because as a real estate agent, we had stimulus money, stimulus programs, and stimulus measures all introduced. And one of those stimulus measures was deeming certain people essential workers. And real estate, what part of this targeted stimulus was making real estate agents essential workers to keep the markets from crashing. Unfortunately, with the previous administration prior to current, we kicked the can too far down the road, and everybody is having way too much fun, I guess, to put the brakes on this thing. We were told that inflation would be transitory. Clearly it wasn't, as now inflation is here to stay. And wages aren't keeping up with inflation, therefore the U.S. savings rate now is at an all-time never-seen-before low, and U.S. debt at an all-time never-seen-before high. Those two metrics alone pretty much paint the picture of what we're up against. A lot. We're up against a lot. But one of the things that happened, my friends, is we overheated the biggest asset class of all, the U.S. Housing market. The U.S. housing market is the biggest asset class in the world. If it crashes, it will crash our economy, and many other countries' economy will crash as well, especially with the amount of foreign investors that piled in to the U.S. housing market, using it as a speculative asset. And that's in fact what it's become, and that's why now it's at even higher crash risk than prior bubbles before we had that component in play with foreign investors coming in, using it as a speculative asset. All these Blackstone, BlackRocks, and of course all the foreign investors as well. It's now basically very frothy and teetering on the razor's edge. We are putting it through the biggest stress test ever witnessed in human history. So one of the challenges, I believe, friends, is really across the board, just like inflation. Stock values doubled, real estate values doubled. Even in the 2008, which was a deep cycle recession, it wasn't quite categorized as a depressionary level of a downturn, but it was a recession for sure, and it was a housing crash that absolutely went along for the ride and was very much responsible for the recession as well, a key component for sure. So if we lose the housing market again, we're going to lose the economy. We'll be back in recession. And then eventually you have 3 levels of an economic downturn, correction, which we're in now. As we see now, prices are no longer going up, in fact, reversing course. And then if we can't stop it there, it'll be a recession. And like we saw in 2008, and if we can't stop it there, we'll enter into a deep cycle recession, categorized as a depressionary level of a downturn that we haven't seen since 1929. Now, side note, insanity, right? Coming up for air. Depressions have cycled throughout recorded history approximately every 100 years. We are in the 100-year cycle. So, I mean, for me, you can get in the tea leaves. You can get tied up into the data. You can do as much forecasting as you want. You'll be paralyzed by the data if you get too caught up in it. For me, I keep my thumb on the pulse. I read between the lines, look between the cracks, and try to remain a level-headed realist. But because I work in real estate, the biggest asset class on planet Earth, and was participated in this mess, and try to do it with a cool, calm head, and come to YouTube and actually forecast this and let people know this is exhibiting bubble behavior. And anytime the market exhibits bubble behavior, you have to put some percentage of crash risk on it. But most of my colleagues are like, no crash risk here. This time is different. Loan strength is stronger. I heard everything, under the sun. And then, of course, as it started to change, well, it was like, interest rate environment couldn't remain artificially low forever. Agents would say things like, well, date the rate, just marry the house. Yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, it sounds ridiculous to me. It sounded ridiculous then, and it sounds ridiculous now. Now, like I was saying, with inflation, really everything, our cost of living has pretty much doubled. I mean, my trash bill for trash service, this went from $50 a month to $97 a month, almost a 50% increase. Homes did the same thing in most parts of the country. They doubled. And I work with people all over America, people watching today, as well as my own backyard. I've seen properties doubled. What used to be a median home price average here where I'm sitting today was 900,000, maybe 800,000 prior to the crisis. Now it's 1.5 for a starter home. Median home price gets you in a cracker box at best. It's just ridiculous. And, San Francisco's up the street for me, basically, a few hours away. And it was a lot of problems in these big cities, these 100 big metros, and San Francisco being one of them. Now they are crippled by homelessness, fentanyl, a lot of other horrible things going on in that city, beyond repair. Our leadership here in this state is really under a lot of fire right now, and probably rightfully so. But this stems much deeper. It really, for me, boils all the way down to the housing market. Now I'm a little bit biased because, of course, I'm a real estate professional and that's what I report on. But the reality is whether I was or was not, the real estate market is in fact the biggest asset class on planet Earth. If we lose it, we will lose everything. So it's a little bit counterproductive for me to come in here and do this economic forecasting, in essence warning people like, be ultra careful right now. There's the right way and the wrong way to buy real estate. That's why I always say, get with me. I will help you. We got to examine some things. I have to have a hard conversation. I always say I'm part therapist, part salesman. I really want to know what's driving this. You're not suffering from FOMO or herd mentality or drinking the Kool-Aid, are you? Like, what's motivating this? Are we, how financially fit are you? I don't want you to be house poor. Does our house pencil out? A lot of things I'm going to make sure, and then I'm going to go, okay, let's go kick the tires, shake the trees, and make some offers, or maybe put you on market, whatever the case may be. But it's an intimate thing. Most agents aren't going to go deep with you. It's just if you want to buy or sell, and that's it. Are you all cash? That was the one thing during the crisis. But in San Francisco, their real estate went parabolic, but their prices, kind of like where I'm sitting today, were already so high. Now they've become completely unreachable. Unfortunately, a lot of people in these areas, all over America, really, I don't care what zip code or price point you're in, drank the Kool-Aid, and they think somehow these prices they still warrant the same prices. I think these prices are still somehow going to be able to be achieved, and they're not. We're seeing the days on market spike. We're seeing price reductions cool off in a reverse course in the housing market, and San Francisco is a massive trouble. So without further ado, let's jump over, take a look at a current listing in San Francisco. Then we're going to meet back here and wrap it up. Let's get started.
All right, friends, buckle up, strap in, roll up your windows, lock your doors as we bring up today's crash map, courtesy of our good fuzzy friends over at Zillow. Everything on your screen is in fact going through the kiss of death, stuck on the market, chasing the market, going through price reductions. Let's jump over and take a look at today's featured San Francisco listing. All right, let's go ahead and tour today's property. And as you can see, this is in fact a luxury condo. But what you can't see is this property is actually unoccupied. It's sucking air. No owner, no tenant, no nobody. This thing is actually vacant, been staged. And unfortunately, they're paying for a property to be staged while it sits stuck on the market. They are bleeding dollars in a massive way, but it gets better or worse depending on how you look at it. Let's go ahead and dig in to some of the numbers. Today's luxury San Francisco, California condo sits stuck on the market at approximately $2.6 million after doing one of their more recent price reductions of a token $100,000. That's not going to get it done. Let's keep looking. Strike one on this 25-year-old condo. It has an HOA fee of pushing $4,000 per month for your HOA fee. That is astronomical. Who wants to pay a $4,000 HOA fee? And I can guarantee you it was much lower than that prior to the crisis. This thing has problems written all over it. But wait, there's more. Now let's look at our property description as we read between the lines and look between the cracks and see if they're sugarcoating it or giving it to us straight. Sugarcoating it at its best. All this at $2,595,000, a price so compelling it feels like a secret. Oh my gosh, the secret is clearly out of the bag as this thing is sucking air and stuck on the market. But wait, there's more. Our property shows it's 77 days on the market with a whopping 15 saves. That is not a lot of interest. That's actually a little to none. My guess, it's the owner and the agent and maybe a few of their friends that gave it those saves to see what they could do to make it look like it's getting interest. But clearly, it is not. Let's go ahead and keep looking. If we were silly enough to give them their stuck on the market price of approximately $2.6 million with a standard amount down at today's interest rate, our approximate cost to carry would be $20,000 a month for this condo. Would it rent for that? I doubt it, but wait, there's more. Now Zillow wants to chime in, letting you know what you should pay. They get paid for clicks, so of course they want you to make an offer. They're saying a strong one would be $2,460,000, which would give you a 90% chance of the winning offer. The only thing you potentially would win here, folks, is catching the dreaded falling knife. Let's go ahead and look a little further. And here you go. Our property has a mid-range value of approximately $2.5 million. They're stuck on the market at 2.6, and we've lost over 42% in equity over the last 2 years. And as we can see from our chart here, it's only going down. So you would, in fact, be catching the dreaded falling knife. Now let's read between the lines and look between the cracks and take a look at our price history. All right, here we go. Strike three and the knockout blow. Our property's been stuck on the market for much more than 77 days. They've pulled this listing multiple times trying to refresh it so it wouldn't show as many days on market. They've also tried to rent it unsuccessfully for $13,000 a month. Our cost to carry would be over $20,000 a month at their current stuck on the market price. They've also been listed at over $4 million. This property has problems written all over it. San Francisco, welcome to the swimming pool. Let's jump back to the studio and wrap this one up.
All right, friends, welcome back, and there you go. So a huge issue. I mean, the number one glaring thing for me, and I've heard and talked to a bunch of you and seen plenty of listings that this is the case. You know what else is doubling? Not only the home prices, the HOA fees. And that's why I always try to stay away from an HOA. Unless you have an open checkbook policy and maybe it's a second home, I mean, you're ultra rich, then who cares? But for most people, a $4,000 a month HOA fee alone is more than most people's mortgages. Who in their right mind? Rich people didn't get rich by being stupid with their money. This is a stupid purchase for anybody because a $4,000 HOA fee, which I'm sure if I was a betting man, which I'm not, was probably half of that prior to the crisis. Everything doubled, even HOA fees. Why? That's of course I'm going to tell you, because the insurance that they have to pull to cover these condominium complexes, your HOA, all those insurance premiums going up. Plus, a lot of them are spending money like drunken sailors, doing improvements, gardeners, everything, pool cleaners. They're all charging more as well. You can't keep up that. The cost to carry this property was $20,000 a month at their stuck on the market $2.6 million price tag, along with their $4,000 a month HOA. Ridiculous. And this is another thing that happens. This is a trick of the trade. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll put you on a market. The agent with this listing, probably the owner, said, I want $4.2 million for my property. Well, I'm not sure, let's go ahead and put you on the market. Maybe maybe we can get you that buyer. Maybe that buyer's out there. Well, right now that buyer clearly isn't out there. That property has come down 40%. Let me repeat. That property is now down 40% and it's not selling. Is that a good look for the country? When properties are taking a 40% haircut and still stuck on the market. Like I've said before, real estate is local. This will not, it could be a flash crash if we get the black swan event. Breaking news could happen today as I'm speaking. And all of a sudden, markets panic. I'm already seeing tons of open house signs every weekend, everywhere I go. They're flooding to market right now, and they're stuck on the market. This is a big warning sign for the entire economy, the entire housing market. When you see properties now taking 40% haircuts and we're not even in official recession, can you imagine what's going to happen when we get to official recession? In final thoughts, I come to you as a friend, as a content creator, as a real estate guy that wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understand the waters you're swimming in now, they're shark infested. San Francisco, welcome to the swimming pool. It's not looking good. Your HOA fees are $4,000 a month today at a listing we looked at, and you went through a 40% haircut and still stuck on the market. You better hope I don't come walking through with one of my clients, because we're going to kick the tires, shake the trees, make an offensive offer. And if you don't accept it, we're going to say, no problem. We're on to the next one, because more and more are showing up as we speak. In the meantime, I'll be here to blow the lid off it every step of the way, because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. Appreciate the content. I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Social media links in the description of this video if you'd like to contact me there, along with links to channels I've appeared on I think you might enjoy. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It would be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. Also, if you're watching from your television set today and you enjoyed this video, gonna love the next video, and there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. God bless, and I'll see you on the next video.